Hello, Chef.
Yes, Karl.
What's up?
Actually, I'm just sorting some vegetables out for one of our future recipes on the show.
Actually, fruits and vegetables.
Oh, I see, Smarty Pants. It's the tomato. Technically, it's a fruit, but some people think it's a vegetable.
No, Steve. It is a fruit, plain and simple. As is this cucumber, this zucchini, these peppers, and these olives. All fruit.
Well, why, thank you, Mr. Weisenheimer.
What does that mean?
Oh, so there is something you do not know. It means you've got a swelled head.
Yum, 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 yum.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to another edition of One Chef One Critic. I'm Karl Wells, food critic for The Telegram.
And I'm Chef Steve Watson, Central Dairies.
Well, Steve, since we have this array of vegetables and fruits, why don't we talk about a good way to prepare them, to cook them?
Absolutely, Karl. What I normally do now, I'm looking for healthier choices, and as with most people are as well, when sautéing them, instead of putting them in oil and things like that, I use a little bit of chicken stock. And I just put a tab into the pan, saute the vegetables, and they will become crispy and a lot more healthier as well.
So I guess you could use vegetable stock, or
Absolutely.
Yeah.
If you've got it in the fridge, by all means.
if you wanted to have a totally vegetarian
Exactly,
meal, for example.
yeah.
Well, that is a good tip, and it's something actually that I do myself. Now, coming up in the program, we have Anthony Germain. He's the host of the CBC Radio Morning Show. He also is a part-time host of The Current on the national network of the CBC. And what will we be making with Anthony Germain?
We will be making a beautiful pulled pork sandwich and a bit of street food today.
Oh, that sounds good. Now, we have another first-time guest. He's Chef Peter Anthony of Magnum and Steins restaurant in St. John's. And Peter Anthony is going to show us how to make deep-fried fresh cod and salt cod quenelles. So stay tuned. For a complete listing of One Chef One Critic recipes, wine lists, and more, check out our website. Let us know what you think of the show at 757-9600. Well, we're delighted to welcome Anthony Germain to the program, the host of the CBC Radio Morning Show, the highly popular CBC Radio Morning Show, and part-time guest of The Current.
Yeah, you get to do all kinds of things.
Host of The Current, I should say.
I've been a guest, but being the host is more fun, as you know.
That's right.
Yeah, but thank you so much for inviting me. I'm glad to be here. I've watched the show. It's delightful, and I'm really looking forward to seeing
whatever we
what can
create.
be done, and tasting it, of course.
Well, I think you're going to like, because I know you're a bit of a foodie, I think you're really going to like what we've got on the menu today.
I'm really happy to see slow cookers. I'm a big believer in the slow cooker.
Is that right?
Well, if you grow up with 4 kids, and being able to prepare it properly and get the thing going, coming home to your house when it smells the way it does after a slow cooker is going, I think it's one of the best and most underrated gadgets in the kitchen.
Absolutely. So let's get started.
Sure.
I was going to say, what we're going to be doing today, we're going to be doing a pulled pork sandwich. So we've got a beautiful roast there of the shoulder. And we'll start by getting you to put some onions into the bottom of the crock pot there. Just
layered
dip them all
or just
in.
dump them?
Just dump them all in, that'll be fine.
My kind of recipe.
Yeah. I'll take that
there we
back
go.
from you very quickly. And then we'll put the roast in. Then we'll start with the rub. Here we've got about a 12-pound roast there.
Right.
Straight into the crock pot there. And what I wanted you to do, Anthony, just start sprinkling that on the top of it.
Okay.
So
What are we
about
using?
a teaspoon and a half of
Chili powder.
some seasoning salt. We've got some cumin. We've got
How
some
heavy do you
garlic.
want me to go with
Oh,
this?
don't be shy. You
Okay.
can go quite heavy with it.
Embarrassment of riches. Look
Yeah,
at all those
absolutely.
balls.
Colours.
Now, what do you want me to do with this salad, Stephen?
Okay, what we've got there, Karl, we've got a sweet kale salad with some sprouts in it. I want you to toss that with some poppy seed dressing there and some cranberries.
Lots
We've
of
got
spices.
some onion salt. We've got a little bit of cayenne pepper. We will put some garlic salt on there and a little bit of cinnamon.
All right.
Perfect.
You'll keep track of the ones I'm using, right?
Oh,
I don't wanna-
absolutely. I've done that. That's for sure.
I'm not taking any of the blame for this if this goes wrong. You promised to be a good tutor, Karl.
Yeah.
Well, I think you're going to be absolutely fine. Now, Anthony, you have hosted radio shows in major markets in Canada, and you've done a national radio show. and you were an international correspondent
In China. Yeah.
in China. What brought you to St. John's, Newfoundland at this point in your career? Because you're still a young guy. And
Well, not as young as you used to be. In a word, the missus.
oh, the
Yes,
missus.
exactly.
I see.
Yeah, I've been working for CBC now for about 23 years.
Yeah.
And Doris, my better half, has sort of followed me around from Ottawa, St. John, New Brunswick, Quebec City, Montreal, Halifax.
Yeah.
And I took her to China, and we were there for 5 great years, but 5 years was enough.
Yeah.
And there was a chance to come to her home, St. John's, and we've been visiting here for the last 2 decades plus. So it was a chance to actually come here where her home was, and it's worked out nice. I'm delighted to be here.
Well, we're delighted.
Except for the weather, the Avalon weather gets to me.
That's right.
So what we'll do, Anthony, we will put that. We'll put a little bit of chicken stock in there around the outside,
Okay.
and we will cook that for about 10 hours.
On low?
On low.
low setting.
On low, yeah.
Okay.
So we're going to remove that one because we do have one already,
Sure,
already
okay.
done. So I'll just pop this to
Get
the
it your way.
side.
You mentioned being an international correspondent,
Right.
and you were in China. How did you get that assignment?
Well, it's
Did they
interesting.
just call you up and say, Anthony, would you like to go to China?
More or less, I mean, there was a competition for it, but
Yeah.
what the situation was that television was focused on Beijing because that's where the television likes to be, as you know, where the capital cities are. And they wanted a different bureau in Shanghai that was radio only because Shanghai is a great city. It's more liberal, too, so it's easier for journalists to do their work without getting the interference of the authorities.
Yeah.
And it was also just before the Beijing Olympics, so they wanted to have more reporters in China to get the sort of feel of the place before the 2008 Olympics, which I ended up covering. It was probably one of the greatest privileges of doing what I do. It was fantastic games.
Yeah.
And the food in China, it was a real eye-opener.
Yeah, in what way?
Well, I think you grow up in North America and you sort of think that there are these few dishes, maybe 15 or 20.
Yeah.
And you go over there, and I always people would ask me, so what do you think of the Chinese food? And I'd say, well, first of all, in China, they call it food, right? But there are so many different kinds of spices and variations of fish and poultry and spices and herbs and things we don't
They're not
use.
scared of using it, are they?
No, I just the Chinese live to eat. I mean, they are big on food,
Yeah.
and so that was a real eye opener for me.
Yeah.
So what I've got here then, we do have a cooked one there, Anthony. We'll just take that to the side there. And what I'm going to do while you're talking there,
Oh, man, that's
talking to Karl, you can really smell the cinnamon coming through and all the other spices.
That
You can
is
start to tear that from the
beautiful.
bone. Then.
All right,
Look
I
at
will do
that.
that.
And then we'll get the ladle.
This is the pulled part of the.
This is the
pulled
pulled part of the pulled pork,
This looks
exactly.
It smells fantastic.
And then, Karl, we can just put a little bit of barbecue sauce on there as well.
Well, you let me know when you want the barbecue sauce.
very good.
So the family, how did they react when you said, hey, guys, you want to go to China to live?
Funny you say that because we were living in Ottawa at the time, and my wife and I, we took our kids up to their bedrooms. We lived just across the river in Quebec. And my kids were really kids then. They weren't the teenagers they grow into by the time we were in China. And I said, okay, guys, we're going to be moving to China. And they both looked at us and they said,
We started speaking Chinese.
they started laughing. They thought, oh, this is just one of Dad's jokes.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And then I said, no, we are moving to China. And they were very, very upset. But then 5 years later, when I'd really had enough of China, because
Yeah.
after the Olympics and the world economic crisis, the Chinese really clamped down on journalists, and it just wasn't as fun as it was in the
Yeah,
beginning.
yeah.
And also, the kids were in an American school, so they were losing their Canadianness. And I thought it'd be really nice to come home, and as I
Home,
said,
yeah.
St. John's was an option, so we took them home. And then by the time it was Karl to leave China, the kids didn't want to leave. So they didn't want to go, and they didn't want to leave.
Yeah.
Typical kids.
What about the language?
The language, Chinese, a lot of people think it's really, really difficult. And for some people, all languages are difficult, second languages. But spoken, no problem. The writing is...
Oh, yeah.
Another story
can
altogether.
imagine,
Yeah.
My daughter picked it
Characters,
up.
yes.
My daughter picked it up.
Did
I
she
never
really?
picked up the writing, but I got to speak it pretty well.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, and I enjoyed it quite a bit.
Yeah.
So you talk about the food in China. Did you do a lot of the cooking yourself in China? Or,
Well,
or is it just as cheap to go out to eat?
it is so inexpensive.
Yeah.
I learned a lot of things which I cook here that are Chinese, but out in China it was so inexpensive to eat
To go
out. I
there,
mean,
yeah,
you could, Karl, you could go out to a place with 12 people and have 7 or 8 different dishes, beer and wine included, for about $100 for 12 people.
Really?
And really be stuffed. You
Wow.
know? So you just can't do that here, right? So, I mean, I don't miss the pollution,
That's a
but I do
deal.
miss
Yeah,
those
yeah.
kinds of dinner bills.
Yeah.
Is this store enough?
Oh,
Or
no,
should I try
that's
and get-
good. That's good now.
Okay.
And we'll just get Karl.
Oh, right.
Just a ladle
Sauce.
of barbecue sauce on the side.
Some
there, Karl.
saucy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, did you want me to pour the sauce right over?
Right, just right over this part here.
Okay.
What's the barbecue sauce?
It's a smoked hickory sauce that we put onto there.
Yeah, I can smell the hickory.
Yeah.
We need smell-o-vision.
Yeah, that's right. Wow.
Goodness, that smells so good.
So the House, that radio program, which is a show about national politics,
Right.
politics in general, I guess, was what really brought the name Anthony Germain to prominence
In the radio world?
in the radio world. Certainly for political geeks and, well, people who just were, interested in what was going on in politics. Was it difficult for you to lead that show? Or
I still meet people who sort of say back, oh, I remember when you did politics on Parliament Hill and enjoyed you. Why did you do that? And they ask me that same question. I think it was, if you stay in Ottawa too long, you become Ottawa.
Right.
And it wasn't until I left Ottawa that I realized that I sort of lost perspective. That when you work in Ottawa, when you work on the Hill, you think that every burp out of that place matters more than anything. You come to Newfoundland, you go to Calgary, you go to Quebec, and you realize most Canadians exactly. And there's a strange world in Ottawa. I mean, I love my time in Ottawa, but I was there for 8 years, and 8 years was enough. Great city for young kids. But I just had enough of that.
it's kind of like what they say about Washington, the inside the Beltway syndrome.
It's exactly the same thing.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to duck out and head down to the wine cellar and see if we can get a nice wine to go with this pulled pork.
Okay.
And the salad is ready. That looks ready.
I'll just assemble the sandwiches. We'll
Okay.
Cibriata bread now.
I'll be back.
Okay, excellent.
So what's your favourite thing to cook then?
My favorite thing to cook, well, it had to be Chinese. And it's a tofu dish. It's called mapo tofu. It's from Sichuan province. I can impress my friends here.
Hi, Andrea.
Hi, Karl.
Okay, well, barbecue today, and a really smoky barbecue sauce with this. It's pulled pork, cooked in a slow cooker, actually. So, and we're making sandwiches, very casual, but lots of flavor. Lots of flavor in this one.
Yeah, so we want fun, but we need to deal with those intensity of flavors.
And we've got some fighting Irish here. I noticed.
Exactly.
Speaking of fun.
Exactly, yeah. So beer, pulled pork sandwich, I mean, perfect pairing. This one has caramelly, sort of lacquered burnt toast, sort of jammy aromas and flavors. So it's going to be really lovely with the sweetness and the spiciness of that dish. And I mean, a nice cold beer. What do you want? Fantastic. This is $7, and of course from Yellow Belly Brewery.
Yes.
Which is local.
Yeah, locally crafted beer.
And delicious. So this is the Kung Fu Girl Riesling. So another one of those funky labels from Charles Smith Winery in Washington State. A little bit of residual sugar in here, so it's going to deal with the sweetness of the dish. But Riesling is so wonderful with dishes like this, with sandwiches and pork. It doesn't take itself too seriously, but beautifully delicious wine. And then we have Bogle, and this is the Essential Red from California. This has Old Vine Zinfandel, some Cab, some Syrah, and some Petit Syrah. So when I saw this dish and I thought about those toasty, lacquered, spicy flavors, I thought of Zinfandel right off the bat. And this is even better because it has those other complex wines that are in there as well. And this will be fruity and spicy and leathery and yummy, and I think really delicious with that dish too. And enough of that sweetness from the Zin that it's going to deal with the sweetness of the dish also.
How is this one in terms of weight? Is it a fairly heavy wine, or
It is. It's got a good, yummy, spicy palate. So
Okay.
where you've got that tomato sauce, barbecue sauce, and of course the sandwich and the pork.
Yep. Boy, I think if it were down to me, I would go with the
Drop of beer.
Yellow Belly beer. But our guest, I believe, tends to favor robust reds. So I'm going to go with this one, the Bogle, and see how we make out with
It's
that.
delicious. And for an Old Vine Zin blend from California, this is $24. So really good value.
That is a really good price. Yeah, exactly. Okay, thank you, Andrea.
Pleasure.
Now I think we've got just the right amount of our hickory smoked barbecue sauce on there, onto our pulled pork, like so. Another extra piece in there for Karl, I think. And then we will put our spicy Havarti cheese on the top of it. Then we'll just cut it on the bias, on an angle, like so. That will be plated nicely on our plate there, like that. Little garnish of stuffed olives and a little cherry tomato there on each of our portions. Okay, let's go and join Anthony and Karl in the dining room.
There.
Well, thank you.
Something to make it go down a little easier.
Excellent choice.
Let's taste and see.
All right. Is this hands or cutlery?
Well, you can use your hands, but I'm going to use
It's television. On radio, this would definitely be your hands. You guys dig right in.
Oh my,
No holds back.
that is great. Oh, that smoky barbecue sauce.
Oh, it's come all the way to, especially with the herbs on there and the spices.
Very
and
tender.
that rub.
It's a triumph. Congratulations, Anthony.
The yes, I think I put onions in the slow cooker is what I think I did. The choice of is it a spicy Havarti?
Yes, I did, yes. Yeah,
It adds a nice accent of something to go with the hickory
It
taste.
does, doesn't it? Yeah, absolutely.
really
Yeah, it
nice.
just gives it a nice extra little sort of
Superb.
bite. Yeah.
Can I try the salad?
Yes,
May I?
by all means, try the salad. Why not?
I want to see how your
I think I did a
contribution
great
worked
job with the salad, actually.
out. There's a surprise. Very nice.
Yeah,
Delicious.
Anthony, you've done a little bit of television work. I've
Right.
seen you on Here and Now, and I've seen you interview people like John Crosby on television. How do you like the TV experience as opposed to radio? It's not quite as flexible a medium as
Right, because
radio.
you can move around a lot more on radio, right, without having, because as you know, they call television the 10-ton pencil for a reason. But there's something about TV that radio can't compete with, and that is facial expressions, which you can't see on the radio. Somebody could be talking to you one way on the radio, and you see them on television, and you sort of see either the tears well up in their eyes, or the anger and the frustration, or a big belly laugh, right? So sometimes the visual cues on television I find are more satisfying than radio. But television's a lot of work. The lights, the makeup. You sort of think of all the people who are making this show possible, which of course everybody watching you two thinks it's just you two, and don't realize that you've got, there's a lot of heavy.
We have a full support.
There's a lot of heavy lifting, right, in
Oh,
television.
absolutely. Yeah.
I enjoy them both, though.
Yeah.
One's a nice break from the other.
Yeah, let's talk about stories. You mentioned that covering the Olympics in China was a biggie for you. What about Newfoundland? Is there a particular story that stands out in your mind, or that kind of got you on an emotional level?
There are so many stories. I find some of my favorite stories are off the Avalon with people who live around the bay in these odd situations that just make you laugh. And the one thing that I really like about here is the sense of humor. So we did have a story about some guy, I think he was in Corner Brook, who got lost in the woods. And he basically talked about what it was like to be lost, and he was just so funny about it. Just talking about, I was thinking about my wife, and then I said, well, if I don't see her again, is that such a bad thing? And things like this, So there's lots of laughter here, and I can get away with humor on the radio in Newfoundland that would probably get me suspended in Ottawa.
Oh, yeah.
There's a cheekiness,
Yeah, that's right.
and an edge to Newfoundland humor that I really love.
Yeah, that's right.
And not so politically correct as certain stations on the mainland.
Now, there's a little secret that I know about you, or maybe it's not such. Maybe it's not
coming
such.
out now.
Maybe it's not such a
10s and 20s?
a secret. No, I hear you're a prolific cookie baker. You like to make cookies.
Yes, I do. It's
Is
a
that-
weakness.
Oh.
It's a weakness. Yeah.
So, what kind of cookies do you bake?
My favorite recipe for cookies is a peanut butter chocolate chunk recipe.
Oh God, a man after my own heart.
Yeah, it's great. That'd be my favorite.
Give me a jar of peanut butter, and I don't need anything else. Like, it's my favorite
Right.
thing.
And I think the secret is to buy really good quality chocolate.
No, absolutely.
And chop it up,
Yeah.
as opposed to the chips.
Yeah,
But that'd be my favorite.
right. Yeah, good tip.
May
A little
I?
cooking tip, baking tip from Anthony Germain, host of the CBC Morning Show.
Cheers.
Thanks for being on the show, Anthony.
Absolute pleasure.
It's been great.
Anytime.
Okay.
Come back next week.
Yeah, why not? And coming up next, we have Peter Anthony with us. He's the chef at Magnum and Steins, and he's going to show us how to make deep-fried, fresh and salt cod quenelles. So stay tuned. Well, Magnum and Steins patrons dine in a relaxed, friendly atmosphere, enjoying contemporary-style cuisine. The restaurant likes to refer to it as a creative dining experience at Magnum and Steins. They're noted for their seafood as well as their magnificent pastries. And we're very pleased to have the chef of Mags here today. He is Mr. Peter Anthony. Welcome.
Thank you, sir.
And what will you be preparing for us today?
Today we're going to do a Newfoundland savory confiter as well as a cranberry sour cream to garnish it with.
Well, I tell you, I like all of those things, so let's see.
Let's dig in and let's put that in, that's for sure. Perfect, go right ahead.
So what we've got here is some cod that's been poached out inside of a milk. Now you want to use a fattier milk, and the more fat the better. And we've got bay leaves, thyme, and peppercorn that it was cooked out in.
Okay.
So then we've got some potatoes, just small diced, and that's going to let us have a rougher texture to it when we start to mix it. And salt cod.
Oh, salt cod as well, okay.
Yeah, all of our cod is coming from Placentia Bay and Bay de Vert right now.
Okay.
So trying to keep it local. So all we're going to do is boil that salt cod out twice, and then we're just going to start a rough mix of this, trying to press it down and get it started.
Okay.
Now in the meantime, if you'd like to just add some savory, we got a simple 3-egg milk flour batter right here.
Yeah.
So that's going to be used to...
And this is our batter, correct?
Correct. And it's more about the texture rather than the exact amount of ingredients.
Okay.
You want something sticky that will help this bind together.
Steve's been in Newfoundland so long now, he knows exactly how much savory to put in.
Yeah, you nailed that.
Absolutely. There we go.
Okay, so as you can see, it's a little bit dry, and that's good. You want this to be cool and not too much moisture from the cods and stuff. Okay. So then what we're going to do is we're just going to add that batter directly to it.
Oh, you mix it all together. Okay,
Yes.
yeah.
Just go ahead and try not to make a mess here.
Okay, I can take that from you if you wish. If there's that enough batter there? If we need some more, I can get some more batter.
Perfect.
Okay.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
So as you can see there, the texture's starting to come together.
Yeah.
You can see a bit of the egg running through it.
And is this something you have on the menu all the time?
Yes, this is a recent addition, cod fritters. What we're trying to do now is, again, with creative dining, bring it back to locality. You know what I mean? And give the people what they want, what they enjoy.
Excellent.
Okay.
And we've got our oil on here, and that's at 350 degrees. So
That's right. Perfect.
Yeah.
So all we're going to do now is we're going to take our mixture.
Yep.
Now that it's been complete, we're going to just add in a little bit of this
let's add lemon zest.
lemon zest.
Okay. That'll give us some acidity to it. Yeah, really bring that flavour out.
And just a touch of mustard. Now we use house mustard.
Yeah.
But you're welcome to use any mustard you have available at home.
Yep.
So when you say house mustard, you made this in the restaurant?
Yes.
Okay.
We're going through great efforts now to make all bacon, all mustards. Basically anything you can do, we'll do it.
Do it in the state.
No, that's excellent. It's a good thing to know as well.
Yeah. And I mean, you know, sometimes there are good mustards out there, but sometimes it's not exactly what you want.
That's right, yeah.
Okay, so all we're going to do then is take a spoonful.
Make a quenelle.
You got it. Now, I should have brought my quenelle spoons, but beggars can't be choosers.
Whatever works.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah.
Okay. Then on the last one, I'm just going to gently lay it in.
Okay.
Okay.
So that's the tester.
There you go.
Yeah.
So hopefully we got a good heat there.
Yeah.
Since all the product is already cooked outside of the eggs and the batter, all you're looking to do is bring this up to golden brown. So what we'll do is 3 fritters so we can all have a little taste. If you want to just have the old scoop ready, you're welcome to. Again, all you're looking for is a color.
Yep.
Okay, so we're done with this?
We are done with that, sir.
Okay.
Then we've got our presentation plate there.
There we
Yeah.
go.
So now the cranberry sour cream is just local cranberries. It's a massive amount of farms here producing cranberries, and people don't really, take advantage of it. So all it is boiled out, and you keep the natural sugar syrup that comes with it, and then you just go ahead, pass it through a fine sieve, and that way you don't bring the seeds into it. The seeds are naturally bitter. We'll just give a couple of dabs.
Is that enough colour?
Yeah, no, that's beautiful.
Okay.
It's like you've been doing this for a lifetime.
I've done it a couple of times, absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay.
So if you want to get those two, we can put it on the plate if you wish.
That's fine.
Yeah.
So again, depending on your mixture, you can leave it chunky, you can have it very smooth. For the restaurant, for presentation's sake, we generally do it very smooth. So your quenelles come out nice, even, and beautiful. The natural seasoning of the salt cod, even though you boil it out twice, actually ensures you don't need to add salt to this recipe. It will just naturally be the right texture.
Well, that looks absolutely beautiful.
Pretty simple.
Yep, we've run out of time, so I'm going to thank you for this.
Oh, it's not a
Thank you
problem at
for
all.
being on the show. We accomplished it, and that's the main thing. That's it for this edition of
One Chef,
One Critic.
So we've got our local cranberries again, our cream, and we've just added some organic sprouts to make it pop.
So you've brought it up to another level.
By all means,
I'm
try
going to
it out.
taste, and I'll tell you one thing. There's a lot of fish in there.
That's right. That's how we like it.
and savoury.
I like that. Hello, Stevie O. What's